Hey folks, Rich here, South Florida Beekeeping with Rich. Today I want to talk about presentations. As a beekeeper, sooner or later you're going to be asked to give a talk somewhere in some scenario or other. It might be at a library, it might be at a venue that has a club of some sort, such as the Happy Hoofers Florida Trail Club. Gave a presentation to them. I've given presentations to just groups at libraries. You go to schools and you give presentations, of course. All sorts of presentations get given. Now, one sort of presentation that we do a lot down here is Broward County has 3 micro apiaries, and we're under contract with them. They allow us to use them, and our members who don't have space to keep bees on their own property keep their bees in these apiaries. And we do educational programs at the apiaries. We will do private groups, homeschool groups, all clubs, all sorts of things. But the one thing that we must do on a quarterly basis at each apiary is an open house. Basically, we go on a Saturday, we set up displays, and we invite the public that are in the parks to come up and talk about bees. And these are getting advertised in the county newsletter. They get advertised in Coconut Creek's newsletter and Davies newsletter and Plantation's newsletters, because that's where the 3 apiaries are. So we get a good stream of people through. And I want to talk about some of the things that you can do on a presentation like that. Okay, so first, of course, we have the demonstration hive. It's not really an observation hive. That would be a fixed static unit, with something sticking out the window and bees are coming inside through a hole and all that. This is a demonstration hive. It could also be a observation hive if you put a hose out from here going to the outside. This particular hive is normally referred to as the Scottish style because the guy was in Scotland who invented it. For years and years and years, you could pick these up for $125 every day, any day, and then all of a sudden the price just skyrocketed on them. At the moment, the Daunt has a pretty good deal on them at $200. Man Lake wants $329 for the same one. Okay, I saw somebody, South Florida Bee Supply, for everybody in South Florida. They were charging $175 for them last time they had them, and it wasn't even this style. It was the 2-frame high style.
Do you want to take it apart and show us?
I will be doing that in just a minute, dear.
Thank you.
I just wanted to get some of the numbers across here first. In fact, there's different types of demonstration hives that aren't using the box down here. They're simply using a double stack. And that's a terrific idea. I have never used this hive as having a full nuke in here, and you take the top off and you take out one frame and you put it in here and you keep a nuke going in here. Okay, this is really nothing more than an anchor for it, more than anything else. So I want to make a suggestion, and that is that if you change out the queen excluder for just a normal piece of number 8 hardware cloth, then you can completely forget about that part, and you can just have this, and it's extremely stable. These 2 frames and even 1 frames that I'm seeing now are really narrow, and I got to tell you, every kid who comes up is going to push at this thing, so you don't really want to do that. Here, I'll take the other side out. Of course, when you're transporting if you're transporting bees there. Now, like I said, we do these at apiaries, so I take this hive to an apiary empty, and we just take a frame out from one of the hives at the apiary, we drop it in, it's out for a couple hours, and then we put it back and we go home.
Right now it has a medium-sized frame in it, but it is set up to take a large.
Yes, it could take a deep frame. Yeah. Right now it has a medium because I'm an all-medium beekeeper. I don't have any deep frames around.
I'm just pointing that out in case people wonder why the frame doesn't fit.
Just a loose fit. I highly recommend that. Okay, again, the plans for this are readily available for free online. And I highly recommend that you just build them yourself. They're not that difficult. The main thing you want to see is the way this setup right here is presented. Okay, you take that out. Of course, the most important thing is rubberized seals everywhere to make sure that there's no cracks or crevices for a bee to creep out of. But this is really all you need.
One thing I would like to point out while you're putting that back together is how many times we've brought this particular demonstration hive to a place, and all of a sudden there's feral bees that come around because they smell the other bees, and people are like, oh, I think your bees are getting out. And you have to explain to them, nope, nope, those are just bees that are drawn to the scent.
Of course, when we're doing it next to an apiary, if some bees come flying around, nobody thinks twice about it. But like Saturday, I don't think I saw a single no, I take that back. I did see a single bee that was over checking out a display of equipment. Nowhere near here, nowhere near where all the mob is watching bees. Again, when you're doing presentations, find out the age of your audience. If they're under 6, you don't need to prepare a presentation. I do show up with a hive with bees in it and stand there.
And answer questions.
Answer any questions they have, which really the kids just want to see them. And the same holds true for the most part with retirees, except some of them are going to want to say, back 50 years ago, I kept bees, blah, blah, blah. Really, that's great. Before there was varroa mite, before there was small hive beetle, you had it easy back then. But at any rate, this isn't even the main thing I just want to show you. It's just that it's always an important part of your presentation. It isn't necessarily an important part of a presentation like at a library or school, but it's always nice to have one way or another. What I really want to show you is my bucket.
It looks like it's going to fall off, sweetheart.
What is going to fall off? This? No. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. This is my static display, which I use to get a whole lot of interest. One thing, every now and then somebody's going to come along who's like, I want to get started in this. And so, okay, well, you need to take pictures of these 2 catalogs. All right. Beyond that, of course, everybody is going to do a static display like this. The reason for putting those there is it keeps the wind from blowing them around. Now we're going to get into the heart of what I want to talk about. I have a display here that I call Products of the Hive. This is all part of that static display, of course. And doop. You can have so much conversation. Let me set this up.
And what's in the tube?
You'll find out in a minute.
Ah.
You are so impatient. Okay. This is my favorite static display. You can have a conversation with anyone with this display. People come up and say, well, these are the products of the hive. You have, of course, honey. You have beeswax, and everybody grabs the beeswax and sniffs it. If I am ever responsible for spreading COVID, it's going to be because everybody grabs those and sticks them up to their nose. You have propolis tincture and propolis ointment. And people, of course, will immediately go, what's propolis? And you say, this is propolis. This is raw propolis. From this, you can make this tincture or you can make this ointment. Here's how you do it. You take some alcohol, you take some of this propolis, you put it in there, it dissolves, and when it clears, you pour it off of the debris that's left on the bottom, and it makes this. Or you can take a pan and you can put some oil of your choice in it and start warming it up, and you can break some of this into that pan and stir it around, and you make an ointment like this. And propolis ointments have been proven to be more effective than triple B antibiotic, because propolis is the substance that bees use to coat the entirety of the inside of their hives. It is their first line of defense against disease. Microbes, viruses, bacteria that land on a coating of propolis die. And so propolis is extremely antibiotic. And this is how we can prepare it. We can make it with using drinking type alcohol for some internal use. Of course, it can also be used for any external use. You can prepare it with rubbing alcohol strictly for external use on scrapes and wounds and things. And of course, you have the ointment here. And we have pollen, which is a nutritional additive. And we have bee venom. Okay, you can go online, find yourself a bee venom ointment of some sort, get whatever the cheapest you can is. Use the bee venom up and just leave the container behind, just for illustrative purposes. You can then explain that we have come up with ways to extract bee venom from the bees without killing the bees, and that pharmaceutical companies will take that concentrated venom. They will make regulated ointments and tinctures out of it for different uses, including sensitivity to bee venom and such, but that it's the basis like apitherapy. As a beekeeper, I just sting myself with a bee when I need to. And of course, there is professional apitherapy, but this is what symbolizes that whole branch. It is one of the products of the hive is bee venom, whether in the form of taking and stinging yourself with a bee, or whether it's in the form of taking an ointment and rubbing it on a arthritic joint or a sore muscle or whatever. Stuff works really good. Stuff's really expensive, but you can get around that by just taking bees and stinging yourself with them. But this is guaranteed to keep a group of people enthralled for several minutes before they go on to doing anything else around there. Then you're going to go over, they're going to look at the bees, blah, blah, blah. This is a great spot for the parents will encourage their kids to ask questions. And a lot of times, all of this has stimulated a question in the kids. So this little setup, a little jar of honey, a bottle of propolis, some ointment, some pollen. The most important thing is, get yourself some nice, nasty, raw scraped propolis, because people always want to go, what is that? And you get to explain it to them. It's a great way to get conversations going. And I want to add one more thing to this part of the presentation, because it's something Gus came up with. Of course, when you have a pop-up, right, you're going to hang bee suits from it. And if you're just hanging a bee jacket without a hood, well, you just put it on a hanger and you hang it up there. But sometimes, you want to be able to display it. So this is a way we came up with, I should say Gus came up with. Just tie a rope, or run it through the sleeves, and tie it out the other end, and it allows you to display a bee jacket with the hood in a very easily presentable way. And yes, of course, you could also, if you planned ahead of time, you could have brought a nice smooth stick and run a stick through there instead of a piece of rope. But most of the time you get there, you're not sure what you're going to have, and it's like, oh, all right, well, I've got a piece of rope. So in case it hadn't occurred to you, you can run a rope through the sleeves and tie it off on either end on the side of your pop-up. And that's a great way to display a bee suit that has an attached hood. We could talk for hours about this topic, but I just wanted to present this to you real quick and this little tip to you, because I was just out at the Broward County Fall Festival doing this presentation at Tradewinds Park for 5 hours on Saturday. So while it was fresh in my mind, I thought,
what's the number one question that people want to see or know, isn't it?
Where's the queen?
Where's the queen?
Where's the queen?
So when you pull a frame, if you don't pull a frame with the queen on it, you might as well just put up a sign, "The queen stayed home today." That'll help you not have to answer that question 60 million times.
As it happened, we had a queen in the frame. I mean, we don't actually make a great effort to try to get the queen because we just assume she stayed back where she was doing her thing. But the frame we pulled this weekend and put in here had the queen on it. But she was a runny thing. She was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
It keeps the kids busy.
It keeps everybody busy. They were spinning that thing around and looking for her all the time. Once you see her, she was pretty obvious. And again, another thing that we have, but I don't have control of this box. We have one of those educational boxes where you have a deep 10 frame box and you have 20 pictures in it that are back to back on 10 frames and you pull them up. So we just keep the one with the queen picture on it pulled up so we can say this is what she looks like compared to here if she doesn't have her butt in a cell laying. And she was laying. So she just kept disappearing on us because when her butt goes in the cell, it's like, boop, she disappears. But when she comes out, then we can spot her. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, where's the queen is always the number one question. Now, what we never know is ahead of time when we go to these public things is whether we're mostly going to get people who are interested in wanting to become beekeepers or whether we're just going to get the people who want to distract their kids for 5 minutes. This last weekend was more of a distract the kids for 5 minutes sort of situation. Sometimes we get a lot of really serious questions. I've literally had people join the club while they were standing there. They went online and paid their dues while they're just standing there talking with us. And it's anywhere from that to like this last weekend where it was just swarms of kids coming through to look at the bees.
There's one other piece of equipment that is highly recommended that you do not have on this table.
Yeah, what's that?
A donation jar.
There's
always, that. Always put out a donation jar.
Yep.
People will put money in it.
That's true.
Throw $1 in the bottom so they're not the first.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever wants to be the first for some reason. But we've put out donation jars and we've had $5 and $10 bills put in there because people very much appreciate what we're doing and they appreciate the information that we're giving them.
Yeah.
They also realize that we're all volunteers, and if they don't, we make a point of telling them that.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for today. I just wanted to share this with you. It's gotten to where I just keep this permanently in this bucket so I don't have to go running around gathering anything. All of this. Oh, another tip. If you're going to put a smoker out as part of your static display, make sure it's a brand new one. A couple of years ago when my personal smoker was still shiny and new, I mean, I think I'd been a beekeeper for 4 months, first time I got roped into doing one of these presentations. It was nice and clean. I'd wiped it nice and clean and it was shiny. As there, guy grabbed it, swung it up, puffed it into his friend's eyes, and of course his friend's eyes got coated in ash. Because no matter how carefully you clean it, there's always going to be residual ash inside a smoker. So I literally bought a smoker that I don't use for anything else. Whenever my smoker gets worn out, yeah, I can just start using this one, but I'm still using, after 10 years, I'm still using my first smoker. But use a completely clean smoker.
Good tip.
With no possibility of ash in it, because that poor guy had to get led to a bathroom and get his eyes washed out. And everybody was angry at us for some reason for having a deadly weapon on the table.
Yeah.
So use a brand new shiny smoker.
Because people can be stupid.
People can be stupid. But beekeepers are pretty smart people. So we'll just leave it at that and say bye for now. This has been Rich, South Florida Beekeeping with Rich. Be sure to like and subscribe, particularly those likes. They really help the algorithm a lot. Talk to you later. Bye.